Why do you need a tester as a role? Tester is not a role, testing is an activity. Now what is critical now for you is your skill. Failure is part of your life, right? Learn and then let's see. One person who was evolved from a manual tester to a senior architect. Hi, this is JP from LeanWisdom. Welcome back to the Weekend Stories. This weekend story is going to be a story of how a tester became an architect, a senior architect. Right? A tester became an architect. This is a story of way back in my Intel security days. It was, I think, 12-year-old story probably, right? But why I'm talking about 12-year-old story? Because it is still relevant to us. I see what we practiced 12 years back in this company. I still see these are all the gaps even today, most of the organizations. Yeah. So this was an initiative called SDET, Software Development Engineering Test, as part of Agile Transformation Initiative. So as part of Agile Transformation, we noticed that, hey, we need a cross-functional team. What does a cross-functional team mean? A team should be cross-functional. I have a developer, tester, UI developer, backend developer, automation guy, all of these skills. But is automation a role or a task? Is testing a role or a task? Is development a role or a task? If you go a little deep on it, it is actually a task, it's not a role. There is nothing like a UI developer and backend developer. Today, things are changing big time, right? However, we still have this problem where I have one person is only UI developer, one is backend developer, one tester, one automation engineer, and so on. So we had a major problem that good chunk of our engineers were test engineers, and we want to help them in a way that they can actually move to a development if they are interested. Okay, so we launched a big initiative. I was responsible for India Center to drive this initiative, like SDET, Software Development Engineer in Test. Right. So we communicated to all the testers. We had around 500 plus testers. We communicated to all the testers that hey guys, if you are, and this 500 from India alone, right? I'm talking about. If you are interested, we will help you to learn about software development. Whether you want to learn a front-end development, back-end development, automation, whatever, right? Step out of or one step forward from your manual testing. We want to help you. Okay. So I did a multiple brown bag sessions, right? Of 20 each, at least some 20-30 sessions I did. I was telling them what would their life be if they learn 5 years from now, 2-3 years from now, right? In one of the discussions, one engineer asked me that if I pick this, a path of SDET, and if I don't perform in the next 1 year, what will happen to my appraisal? Okay, very valid question, because people are worried about their appraisal. Oh, we are not able to do it, and we are struggling, and how do I look at my appraisal if I don't perform it? I said, okay, if you're not performing well, let us look at it. 5 years from now, does this appraisal matter to you? Right? Or I asked one of the very senior engineers who was in the system for 8 years, I asked him, okay, you are here in the system for 8 years, 5 years back, you went through an appraisal. Was it critical that time? Absolutely yes. Is that critical now? Absolutely no. Why? Because that's gone. Now what is critical now for you is your skill. So I communicated this very clearly that guys, don't worry about appraisal. Failure is part of your life, right? Learn and then let's see. And I also prepped the leadership saying that, hey, so this is a mindset for people that, they are worried, right? So you need to also communicate a message that, hey, don't worry. If you take a step forward, that itself is a good sign in your appraisal, because you're moving out of your comfort zone, right? In spite of all that, not many people moved, right? Out of 500, maybe 40-50 people want to try out this, right? The first batch. I said, okay, then based on the product, the technology, we kind of chose the technology to be trained, right? Is it a front-end development, back-end development? Is it Java, C++, right? Or is it just a JavaScript and ASP or .NET? So we started helping them a lot. We formally arranged a training session, right, where these people have to go through formal training of a couple of days, and then they will also get some time in every sprint. They'll get some time to practice some small thing. Right? Hello World Java program. That's good enough first time, right? You are able to compile and you are able to execute that, right? I have written a Hello World Java program and I'm able to execute this, the class, and I'm able to see a result. Okay, there is a dialogue. Great. Okay. So we started giving them a little support, And what I noticed was, in that large crowd, the junior people were very interested, the senior most people are not much, because of the fear of failure, because that, hey, I am already good in domain, why should I learn something else, right? Somebody with 8 years, 10 years experience in testing, they were like hesitant, but somebody with 1-2 years experience, they were much more interested. A fresher who joined, it's a big company, so we also get a solid people, solid engineers from colleges, and who end up in testing, right? So they were super excited. Yes, we want to learn. We gave them opportunity, we gave them support. Every sprint there was also backlog created called learning backlog, right? So every person who goes through this should have a learning backlog, some capacity spent on learning every sprint, and that should be demonstrated at the end of the sprint in some form. Either you have written a small script, you have written a class, you have written one method, you are able to execute, you are able to show to your technical lead, and lead is able to review the code and then appreciate you, provide feedback, whatever it is. Something you should demonstrate. Okay, we started this. Every drop makes an ocean, right? So we started doing step by step. First batch who cleared this, we kind of started making as a big news, saying that, hey, see, these are the heroes that who changed, who are willing to take a step forward out of their comfort zone, right? And in all hands they were called, right? Leadership meetings they were announced, and some special rewards were given for them at the end of the session. The rest of the organization we did not touch. We didn't want to scare them that you will be thrown out. Some of them were feeling that, hey, if I don't learn, will I be thrown out? I said, no. If you want to learn, we'll give you opportunity. That's the idea, right? Eventually, I want you to pick it, not that I don't want to force you, right? Slowly, people started moving one by one. Those who are hardcore, only manual testers, who didn't want to change, some of them left also. This also happened, right? Every initiative that you take, you also see some impact like this, and we're okay with that. If people don't want to, if they get scared and then they leave, we let them leave. But there are people who took it very seriously, who moved. One of these engineers in the first batch who got into SDET, I met him in the airport recently, a couple of months back. The moment I saw him, I said, hey, how are you, man? Nice. After 10, 12 years we were meeting, right? It's 10 years since I left this company, and it's nice to meet you, and what are you doing? So he said, I know what you're doing, JP, I'm looking at what you're doing in LinkedIn, and I keep hearing about you, but I am in the same company. I said, okay, great. So what are you? He said, I'm a senior architect. Wow. Trust me, guys, that day, right, I was so happy when I heard this, because it's an intrinsic happiness, motivation for me, that we started something very small 10-12 years back that impacted one person like this, one person who was evolved from a manual tester to a senior architect. And this company is not that non-technical or it's a pure technical company, right? Getting into this company, getting a job is not that easy, right? You have to go through 8 to 9 rounds of interviews, and this is a company, right? Somebody has become an architect. Can you imagine? And I was telling him, man, you're a superpower, man. It's not easy. And it was so nice to remember. And I heard many people like this, not many, at least a bunch of them moved their career big time in this side, and a lot of people got an opportunity after that, even for learning some technology and things like that. So we also mandated that every code review we should have at least one tester and things like that. We wanted to bring that ability. Just sit there. It's okay if you don't understand. Just look at the code like English, right? So these initiatives started changing, right, big time. So when you are implementing Agile, right, when you're implementing SAFe, just don't get stuck with that framework. Say it's Scrum or SAFe, that this is what Scrum is saying, this is what SAFe is saying, I do only that. You have to look at the holistic transformation, right? One of the things that what we did was, in this company was SDET, and I learned so many things, right, in this journey. And I because I was part of this committee driving this, I had to first learn, I have to get convinced, and then I convince everybody. And it was a great journey for me, right? So I thought this will be a good learning for you. Try out this in your organization. If not in your organization, at least in your teams, I'm sure it will work. Right? Every organization I go for a consulting, I ask this question: why do you need a tester as a role? Tester is not a role. Testing is an activity, right? And that's the right thing to do, even for their career as well. Yeah. So hope this video was useful for you. Have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye bye.